guys, my co-hosts have an amazing trip report from Jean for you. Unfortunately, we ran into some major storms on the East Coast and it screwed up our audio. How do I know we had major storms? Well, my flight home from Florida with my family got delayed by 2 hours because of these storms. So, when you hear all of the crud audio, just try to ignore it. Give us some grace. We were working through some really bad storms. Thanks a lot. Bye, guys. Hope you enjoy it.
Welcome, everyone, to the latest episode of Disney with the Ducks, coming to you live from Ducks Studios across the country. We've got myself, John Kral, and the co-hosts for the night, Kevin, Mean Gene, and Lonnie G are all on with us. And tonight we're going to be talking about Jean's recent trip to Walt Disney World. So Jean's daughter, I think we've mentioned it on the show a few times, is an awesome cheerleader, and her team did really well and got invited down to a competition at Disney this past month. So we wanted to have Jean on to kind of share some of the experiences that his family had and just talk a little bit about how the parks are these days. But before we get into that, does anybody have anything good going on in their life that they want to share? Kevin, how about you?
The last week has been pretty crazy. The boys had their last week of school, so this week kicks off their summer vacation. So vacation every week. We have camps planned out for the rest of the summer, so it'll be interesting to see where we get to go. We have a long list of all these places we have to take them here and there, but I think the kids are really excited. You have to spend the last day with them, look at their awards, and see some people graduate. Spend some time at church and with family and things like that. So it's been a good week.
That's awesome. And Kevin, real quick. Your kids' school get out in May. That's early. Ours is a month from now. So we're looking at middle end of June before our kids get out. So it's just funny how different it is in different areas of the
country. They get out pretty early. They start back pretty early too. It's a private school here in Tennessee. So it's a Christian school. And so their schedule is a little bit different than the public school system, but for the most part, it's pretty consistent.
That's cool. They get to enjoy the whole summer then now. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, Lonnie, how about you?
Hey, John,
go ahead, Gene.
Right. Sorry. Will you cut that out? I mean, somebody cut that out.
No, we're going to leave that so everybody knows.
Leaving that.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say that, so we're in the same boat. My son just graduated from high school a week ago Monday.
Yeah.
It seems like forever ago, on the 9th of May. And my daughter finished up finals and her last day of school was Wednesday. And so we're out, we're done. We start summer, volleyball and cheer and all that, and going to camp week after next. I mean, summer's here,
The heat is definitely here and the allergies are definitely here. I know that.
Oh, yeah. The pollen is everywhere.
Epic.
Epic.
It's difficult. All right, and Lonnie, what about you? Anything good going on?
Yeah, well, my daughter's home from college, so that's good. So it's good to have her in the house. We just came back from our Disney family trip. We did a combination of a 4-day stay at Kidani, and then we went on a cruise on a Dream. So that was good. I guess the bad thing is that I'm back home, right, with like a ton of emails to check. But really enjoyed that. It was my grandson's first trip to Disney. So that was exciting. Good to see it through his eyes. So that's pretty good. I enjoyed it.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I'm excited to hear about the cruise and your days in the park too, coming up on a future episode, because I've always wanted to go on a cruise and we just haven't been able to yet. So live vicariously through you.
Yeah, feel free.
But yeah, so this weekend my wife and I actually had, I would almost call it a date last night. She was feeling up to it. So we went and we actually drove around town a little bit. We stopped and got a pickup from Target. We got some Starbucks, and then we went and got some carryout to come home and actually watched a TV show that had a lot of bad words and violence in it, because it was just the baby and he doesn't know what's happening yet. So it was, overall, it was a pretty great night last night. And then she went to bed early and I played video games without a lot of distractions in my basement. Nice. So it was all around just a great night. And great. And our kids came home tired because they stayed with our friends and went swimming and played with we call them their cousins because it's like our two best friends. So yeah, just a fun weekend.
That's awesome.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
So, all right. So let's get to Gene and talking about the trip that you took down to Walt Disney World. So, you want to just kind of give us an overview of how this trip came to be and who you went with?
Yeah. So it was me and my wife and daughter and about 100 and I don't know 15 or so of her closest cheerleading friends. Not really, but we have 5 different teams from our gym that all qualified. It's a big. There is Worlds, I think, the week before, but this is the big national competition called the Summit, and it's every category has a certain number of teams. I think there were 12 teams in her particular category that they were up against, and you compete at different competitions. At different competitions throughout the cheer season, and they give out bids, and there's a certain number of bids. And this is actually the 4th time that my daughter has been eligible to, on a team that could make it to Summit, and the 4th time she's been able to go. And so like I said, there were 5 other teams from our gym. We have a total of like 14, 17, different age groups, different levels, different, they have everything from like very beginner little girls all the way to the highest level of that we have like a level, I think it goes up to level 5 or level 6. We only have a level 4 team is the highest, and that by age. And then there's also a special needs team, which is really cool. They don't compete, but they do showcases, and they do some different different other competitions and things like that. But we went. It was it's not, as we talked on some previous shows, it's not like a Disney trip where you get to cheer. It's a cheer trip where, it happens to be at Walt Disney World, and their tickets included in the package, and you can upgrade, to an extra day. You can upgrade to park passes, things like that. We always stay at like an economy, resort, and it's nothing but cheerleaders. The whole place is nothing but cheerleaders. The whole park is nothing but cheerleaders. Not exactly, but there's a bunch of them. It's so many, but really and truly, all the all-star resorts are all cheerleaders. I ran between them, and that's all you see.
So, Gene, did you stay? Which one of the All-Stars did you stay at?
We stayed at. Hold on, I got to think about this. We stayed at Sports. I was going to say
Okay.
it was because Lonnie and I just stayed at Pop Century. I know it's not an All-Star, but it's a similar type resort.
Yeah.
And we've stayed at. We always stay at one of them, and I just had to remember we stayed by the big Coke. The big cup of it's big Coke. On the end, but it's Sports. It's like a baseball stadium there at the end where we stayed.
So for the historical record, I would jump in and say this: that I was scheduled to go. Gene and I planned this trip for a year that I was supposed to go, and at the last minute, his wife swooped in and booted me to the curb and took my spot. I'm not bitter, but I think now, since I've said it, the healing can begin.
So a little bit of background. So last year, y'all mentioned, some of the differences in the parks, and you guys know last year was a different year at Disney. My wife went. It was frustrating. You had to order every bit of food. You couldn't even just go into the cafeteria. It was all when they got there. Typically, you're able to do a lot of things in advance, and registration is typically quick. They got there and they sat out in the hot lobby for hours and hours and hours waiting to do. I don't even know what all they had to do to get registered, but it was just very, very frustrating. And so by the time she got back, she said, "I'm not going back. You're going next year." And I told Lonnie, I was like, we're there. We'll do it. And so we've been, I knew, I know the situation, and it would, she's not going to miss her daughter cheering. But Lonnie and I talked about it for a year. And then, like Lonnie said, at the last, it wasn't the last minute, but as soon as we found out she made the trip, Christy had me book and everything. So.
So wait, Gene, so you knew for a year that Lonnie was not going to be able to go on this trip with you, but you led him on and let him believe that he was going to be part of this experience?
Well, I mean, from
wow.
That was a backup plan.
Thank you, John.
Maybe from a certain
I'm so
point
glad you said that.
Wow.
See, now the womb is fresh.
So I'll put it this way. So while she said that, what I knew because I felt it in the force. I searched my feelings and I knew it to be true that she would probably go, but that's not what she was saying. So, Lonnie and I talked about going, but I mean, I was pretty sure she would end up going.
Okay, fair point.
I was misled.
Yeah, it sounds like it, and I think we should move on. Maybe get some couples counseling going. I'm not sure, but we need to fix this relationship.
So
here.
I want to fast forward to the end of this trip because so my daughter has said for a year now that this is her last year. She goes to Summit, and this is the first time she didn't make it to the finals on the second day. They were all very upset. You can imagine, a bunch of 14, 15-year-old, 16-year-old girls, not happy. Nobody be happy. But then she started talking about how much she's going to miss cheer, and she had coaches kind of, encouraging her to maybe think really hard about, does she really want to leave, and encouraging her to stay, that kind of thing. And so my wife started in her like, well, if you next year, I don't know if I'll go next year. Dad and Lonnie will have to take you. And she's like, yeah, that'd be great. It'd be fine. But anyway, she actually did end up. She tried out again, and she's cheering again. They've already. They came back. I mean, it's pretty serious. They came back we got back on Wednesday. By the next week, we're tryouts, and the next Monday, we're practices started again. So there's no breaks. It's serious business.
So
I'm not falling for that this time. First time, shame on you. Second time, shame on me. It can't be shame on me. I'm not falling for it this time.
You're not doing it, huh?
I'm not going to be a victim anymore.
Gene,
it's
good for you for standing up for yourself, Lonnie.
Thanks.
All right, so Kevin, you had I think question.
Boundaries.
Listening to Gene talk about kind of the way that all works, it sounds a lot like almost like a Run Disney trip, where you finish the race and you say, I'm never going to do that again. And then you kind of start to feel about it, and then you go back. So, I've never been to one of the cheer weekends, I guess. How does that compare to the way a Run Disney weekend goes? I mean, with Expo and things like that, you mentioned kind of checking in registration, all that. Is it kind of set up the same way? I mean, what's it like? I know when you do a Run Disney race weekend, it's the same kind of thing where you're there. It's not as much of a Disney trip as it is a race weekend that happens to be at Disney. So it's sort of just the similarities there seem to keep popping up. So just curious.
Yeah. So, and I mentioned some of this before, but it's really hard to plan because you don't know going in exactly what your schedule is going to look like. We knew that, we would leave on Thursday and we would have the rest of that day Thursday. And we knew that we would have practice on Friday at some point. And then after that, typically they try to do practice. It's off-site typically. They try to do practice as early as they can, but you don't know till you get there. So Thursday, we got there, we had the rest of the day. We got there about 1, we went to Epcot and we spent the rest of the afternoon. We had a reservation for somewhere. I don't remember where it was. It was late. And we ended up changing it to Mama Melrose's at like, I don't know. It was going to be like 9:45 at, I think it was Kona is where we were going to be, Kona Cafe. We changed that because we're having to travel and we were, there's another family, I don't know, it was like 9 people. We were all going to eat together. We changed that. And so that's great. We ate at Mama Melrose's. Everybody loved it. One little girl with us, she ate about 17 rolls. I know it. I don't know. So many rolls. It was crazy. It was good though. We enjoyed it. But, so we knew that Thursday, we knew we'd have that open. Friday, as soon as we got there, we kind of found out what it would look like. Friday we had, and I say she had practice at like 10. And by the time it was at, oh my gosh, Coronado Springs is where the practice was. So they had to take a bus. We just wish them luck, and wait for them to come back. And they came back and, got changed. And by the time we get somewhere, it's about noon. So we had the rest of the day. We went to Hollywood Studios. We had a great day at Hollywood. And we can get more into that later. But the next day, though, they competed at like 5 something, had to be there at 3, had to report at they competed at 7. They had to report at 5. They had to start getting ready at a certain time. But then they ended up having practice in the morning. So as it turns out, they had like a 2-hour window maybe 2.5 hours where they could do anything in the middle of the day. And we had later hours at Magic Kingdom, and so, but that's not where we had the park reserved. So my wife and I, we made a mad dash while she was at practice to go to Animal Kingdom where we had reservations, check in, talk to them. They actually checked Amelia in for us, even though she wasn't with us, so that we could go to Magic Kingdom after the competition and everything worked out.
So,
she decided
real quick, just because when this airs and when people may listen to it in the future, we're talking May of 2022 was the trip. And so the parks had
last part of April, last couple of days of April.
Okay, and then beginning of May. Okay, so end of April, beginning of May 2022, when the parks had park reservation systems in place, and you can't go to a second park where you don't have a reservation until you've checked in at your initial park and it's after 2 p.m., right?
Yeah.
So, sorry, I just wanted to kind of level set everyone as to time frame and what was going on.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of, I'm going to be diplomatic, there's a lot of discussion about that amongst the group because of the way, we didn't know what was going on. A lot of the girls, like my daughter, actually, we were planning on all going to Animal Kingdom, hanging out there for a couple of hours, being checked in, and that way later on we could do whatever we wanted. She didn't want to. And that was great. She had to compete that night. She's just like, look, I'm going to hang out with my friends and just hang out at the resort. That's great. We went and checked in, and then we got finished that night. They had, I don't know if you know cheer, but they had a bobble, they had something. I don't know what it was, something that they didn't feel good about. And then they found out that night they didn't make it to the next day. And so my daughter had no desire whatsoever to go to Magic Kingdom at all. And so that day, my wife and I went to Animal Kingdom long enough to get in there, check in with the guy in the plaid vest and get things squared away with my daughter for nothing. And which, I understand why she did it. But then we just walked around a little bit. We didn't see a show. We didn't, I don't think we rode any, nothing. We left. And then the next day though, was our last day at Disney, and on Sunday we didn't compete, so we had the day wide open, and we went to Animal Kingdom and we went to Magic Kingdom. We did both of those that day, and we actually had a great day. It was we did a lot that day. My daughter and I rode. I think I was messaging you guys. I think we rode. We ate at Yak and Yeti that evening, and while my wife was checking in, we all rode it twice. And then my wife got off to check in at Yak and Yeti, and we rode Everest like 2 more times, my daughter and I. And we could have gone as many times as we wanted. It was great.
So, Gene, overall, how was the crowd levels at the park? Based on that, it sounds like it was probably pretty open and not a ton of people there, right?
Yeah, it was busy enough. I told you guys I didn't ride Rise. I rode Smuggler's Run, and it was like when we saw what Smuggler's Run wait was, me and a guy, we hightailed it from one end of the park to the other because it was like a 30-minute. Wow. I think the longest we waited was like 55 or 65 minutes or something like that for anything, and there wasn't a lot of that. We kept our eyes on the app. I told some of you guys this, that at one point we were at Hollywood Studios and the girls had an appointment. I hate air quotes, an appointment. Their coach wanted them all. It's a tradition. They all ride Tower of Terror together. And so they're meeting at 4:00. And so they're meeting and they're all in line. And we're like, yeah, we're just kind of, us and some other parents are kind of hanging back. And all of a sudden, keep in mind, Rock and Roller Coaster's around the corner, and but it was closed down. They'd shut it down. They'd delayed it several times, and it was completely shut down. All of a sudden, one of the girls looked at her phone, and 30 girls and a couple of coaches took off running, and they ran to Rock and Roller Coaster, and we saw that. And so we didn't run, but we walked really fast. I've never been on a ride where I did not stop walking from the time I entered the line until the time I got into my seat on the roller coaster, and that's exactly what I did. Rode that. Several of the girls got in line and rode it several times. They got back in line at Tower of Terror, and they were in the exact same place. They didn't cut. Just where they left the line was where the end of it was, and they got right back in line and got in line for Tower of Terror. And so, that was that ride probably at that point had about like 45, something like that minutes. minute wait, and that's what we faced. But a lot of times, a lot shorter. We just kept our eyes on the app, and I couldn't believe sometimes that it would go from, it'd be 45 minutes, 75 minutes, and then nothing. The end of the day, for whatever reason, 5, 6 o'clock, everything just got, the lines got really, really short, quick,
So Gene, thanks for the good summary. So overall, you went on Thursday and you guys stayed till Sunday, correct?
Yes, we extended the trip. We did some other stuff the next 2 days before we came home on Wednesday. But yeah, we did. Our Disney part was those 4 days.
All right, good. So did you have like the genie or anything like that? Or you guys just said, since it was so open and you didn't know when practice was and all that kind of stuff, you just went strictly by the app, finding times to ride? I think that's
exactly what we did.
You don't need to have genie to have a good time. I guess
that's right.
And that's what my point of the question was. A lot of times you say, oh, Disney's doing this and doing that, I got to pay for this. No, you can still ride those same rides without it. And just watching the app, you can see the times that are better. And there's even a tip board, right, that you can get on and kind of say, okay, ride this, try to ride this, try to ride that. So I'm glad you guys had a good time. That's awesome. So what time did you guys get there Thursday?
We landed like, I don't know, 12:47, something like that.
Okay.
We got an Uber. We didn't use any Disney transportation or anything like that. We just Ubered over, and we knew we were Ubering at the on Sunday, or rather Monday morning, we were Ubering to somewhere else, and so we already had that kind of figured out before we got there. One of the things I want to say about the genie and sort of that situation, we'd had a previous podcast where we talked about on a short trip, kind of how you plan things out, and it's funny, Lonnie, you at one point you said something about pack your patience. And I don't know how many times I said that to people. Did you pack your patience? Because sometimes you don't get to do what you want, and I didn't get to do what I wanted. I didn't get to do Rise of the Resistance, and it's okay. I'm gonna, I'll be back there at some point. We watched the app. We decided what we want to do, and we were kind of, depending on the park we were in, we might go, do some zigzagging. But it worked out really, really well for us. And, there were times where we didn't ride with each other, or it didn't appear we rode with each other because we went in a single rider line, and that worked out for us too.
Mm-hmm. So Gene, when you were looking at the times, did you see that they were accurate as to what was listed in the app versus what you actually waited? Was it pretty close?
They seemed to be less than what we waited most of the time.
Oh, okay. So nice,
pleasant
there
were times
surprise.
where, it was absolutely. And there were times where it might say 75, it ended up being like 55 or 50, or there were times where it said 50 minutes. And by the time I got there across the part, it turned into an hour, but it really, it seemed to go by pretty quick. I mean, I don't know. When I was there for the marathon and my feet and my back hurt so bad, waiting in line was miserable, and this time wasn't so miserable. And there was the company that I had at the marathon too.
Opinions vary.
No, but it wasn't terribly hot. It was, it was not cold. It was not cool, but it wasn't, it wasn't ridiculous. And the waits weren't long. It was just a nice, nice situation. We didn't get to do all the things we wanted to do, but we did a lot. We did quite a bit.
Yeah, and I think you've mentioned quite a few times, you got to look at it as a cheerleading trip with a little bit of Disneying rather than a Disney trip with some cheering, right? And
y'all made fun of me. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, we always make fun of you.
Well, but y'all, because a lot of the things I haven't experienced, and I had a point. I was gonna figure out who the heck this Figment dude is, or what's a happily ever after, and what's a PhilharMagic? You know what I mean? Like, PhilharMagic, never heard of her, but you know what I mean? Like, we didn't have time for that, and we usually don't on these quick trips because we're trying to fit in stuff that typically my crew doesn't want to sit down and watch a show. If we want to rest, we do. I really wanted to do the Wheel of Progress or whatever that Carly hates, but
Carousel
didn't get a chance.
Progress.
Yeah, right. You know what I mean. People Mover. I mean, I've heard of the People Mover. I've never been on it, but I was going to do that.
Yes,
too.
you have been on the People Mover. You rode the People Mover with me, like our first dopey, man. The frustration. You don't remember, but you have been on the people mover, man.
You know what
you have. Yes, you have.
So we left space, Mission Space. You probably heard of it. One of my favorite rides. Left Mission Space, and Epcot was it was dark. They were starting to close, and as I walked by something like, what is that? That whatever that is, that looks amazing. It was Guardians. I didn't know that though, because I didn't notice it in the daylight. I guess I hadn't been by there in the daylight. But I had to go back and take a second look and see it as well as I could from, in the dark. But hopefully we'll hear from Jeff and his experience with that. But that was kind of cool to see. Don't make fun of me, Lonnie.
Did you say you didn't see Guardians in the daylight?
We ran right by it.
You ran right past it.
I saw it that time. Yeah, but
that was at like mile 25 and a half of America.
Yeah, we can forget. We're in bad shape right then.
I mean, come on, y'all got to give me a break, man.
That was a tough.
I was just trying to
you make it easy,
man.
Yeah.
So let's talk about one of the favorite things. I think and I just experienced this. Right, we did a lot of different meals when we went to Disney for this last trip. So let's talk about food for you guys. You mentioned briefly that you kind of got on the app and changed some things, and so you guys can eat as a group. So let's talk about food, man. Epcot, what did you eat?
Yeah, so I got to think about this because it was as you probably know, it was the International Food and Garden Festival, and so there was some international foods at this place.
What was it called again? I'm sorry. You muted out. What did you call it?
Is that not right? It's not International Food and Garden. Isn't that what it is?
I like where your head's at, though. Yeah,
that sounds about right.
Is that not right?
I like it. We should combine the Food and Wine Festival with the
There's butterflies and there's topiaries and everything. I mean, come on, man. Y'all can't beat me up over this now. Come on, it's close enough.
They do have food there, and it's international.
Yeah,
and there's flowers. So yeah, we'll accept it.
No, see, I'm using the Google machine.
All right. So at the International Food and Flower Festival,
Flower and Garden Festival.
Yeah. Yep. There we go.
Flower and Garden, but they have international food, so that's stupid.
And they have wine there too. I know it's crazy. They're all becoming the same.
It's a plan to just discredit you, Gene. That's all. It's Disney's way to try to discredit you. I like your name better.
So, Gene, did you get to enjoy any of the food booths or anything at the festival?
Yeah, but you're asking me to remember, and I should have written this down to know. But I ate something that was really good. That was like I ate shrimp and grits. Had that, of course. Had something from some country in South America that had beef on it. It was good. I don't remember what it was. I'd have to look it up.
All right.
Okay. Is it killing you, man?
I don't think there's not really a South American country, is there? No. Not at the Epcot.
No, the booth was. The food at the booth was.
Okay. Okay. So the South American beef was delicious.
Hold on. It's like you're all gonna be embarrassed.
Probably.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
We will.
I will tell you that I couldn't find a cronut anywhere. Not happy about that at all.
Mm-hmm.
That's disappointing.
My wife had Dole Whip for the very first time, I believe.
Okay, so wait.
What did she think about it?
Yeah,
that's important. Don't pass by that. What did she think about the Dole Whip?
I mean, she thought it was fine. I mean, I don't know that she would like go out of her way necessarily, but I think she thought it was fine. I had a little off menu one because I had a little I don't remember all the details, but it had the typical pineapple, but there was coconut ice cream, I think, in it.
Nice.
In it. So that was good. Yeah.
Nice. That is.
I didn't have the Hazy Pebble fruity hazy milkshake. I saw it and I didn't want it at that time. I completely passed over all the Impossible stuff. I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm from Louisiana. We looked at but I'll tell you this, that we went by every single booth and like we looked really hard, and I wasn't even hungry most of the time. It's just you're hoping that something, you're not hoping, you're just you want to make sure that you don't see anything that just grabs you, and you have to have it, you know.
Yeah, I think that's one of the best things about going during the festivals is you get to try all those different foods, and they're not huge portions, so you can try a bunch of them. And I mean, maybe that's just how I justify overeating at the park, but look, it's just a little sample size. It's cute.
I know, right? And they really are small, but they're, I mean, it's a decent size though, you know?
Yeah. But yeah, that's one of the best parts. So, Gene, how were the lines for the festival booths? Because I know when we went,
it was Canada. It was Canada. It was beef tenderloin tips. No, I did.
Yeah, Canada from South America. Yeah,
yeah, Canada.
I really did have something.
I can see where you get confused with that.
No. It was like I don't even know. It was I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna tell you, but those tenderloin. We talked about the beef tenderloins actually in our show on that, and I wanted to make a point to get that, and it was pretty phenomenal. I'm just gonna be honest with you.
Nice. All right. And so when you were walking around, did you guys have to wait in long lines to get to the food booths? Because I know that's been an issue in some of them in the past, is some of these booths can get extremely long.
No, and you know, similar to what I said earlier with the lines with the rides, I didn't wait in any line really very long for anything. I mean, you know, it might be 10 deep or something like that, but most of the time it wasn't even that.
Okay.
I mean, you know, you guys have, I would assume, you know, been there for this, or I mean, there's always something going on, right? So there are some booths that just had drinks, and some booths that had food and drinks, but none of them, it seemed like, you know, had a long line for anything.
That's great. And then, so you mentioned earlier the weather was decent while you were there. So for time of year, just for people who are listening, end of April, beginning of May, what was the weather like? Was it raining at all while you were there? Or?
We got rain one day. That day that I talked about that we ate at Yak and Yeti, we had to put on. My wife always packs those ponchos, you know, that they fold up this big, and then when you take them out, they fold up this big. You know.
Oh yeah,
it's a great tip.
Yeah, they're great. And you can get them from Amazon. You can buy them in the park for $100 or Amazon for $1.
Yeah, they did $12.95 or $14.95 in the parks.
Wow.
Yeah. You definitely want to Amazon that. That's a good tip for you right there. You can get, I think, 10 for $8-9 on Amazon.
Yeah. Yep. And then you don't feel bad throwing them away when they won't pack down to the size that they were originally, right? When you pay $1 for them. You buy one of those park ones, you've got to take that thing home and take care of it.
I'm going to give you a tip right now. If your Walmart's like mine, like right now, they're like $1 or $1.99 on the clearance aisle at Walmart right now. I just saw them like yesterday, the day before. But we walked into Yak and Yeti when it started to rain. And
what day was this, Gene? Was this Friday?
That was Sunday.
Sunday, okay. So Thursday was Epcot. Friday was, remind me, where did you go Friday?
Friday, I think. Friday was.
I know AB had Friday.
That was the day of the Animal Kingdom?
No, Saturday was Animal Kingdom, right?
Friday was
Hollywood Studios.
Hold on.
Probably.
Yes, Hollywood Studios. Yeah, we ate it because we were at Epcot anyway. We knew that the Food and Garden Festival was going on. They had all the booths, so we figured we would eat there. We ended up getting food when we went back to the resort from the cafe, the restaurant there. But Friday night we ate at Mama Melrose.
How was the quick service there? Because I know I really like the quick service at Pop. How was it at Sports?
Exactly the same. I don't know that there was a difference in the menu. You remember they had that burger that had pimento cheese on it? They did have that. That's the only thing that I didn't see. They didn't have everything else though.
And that's good for families because you can get a whole piece. I think a whole piece was what, $15 or something like that. You got
a lot of chicken nuggets. A lot of kids eating pasta. Had a family ate. Got the. It was like roast beef or mashed potatoes and that kind of thing, or beef tips or something like that. They said it was pretty good. A lot of chicken nuggets being consumed, though, and a lot of pizza.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
No, you get all the food groups that way, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. It works.
Lots of good choices.
Vegetables, meat, cheese, dairy, bread. Pizza's
bit
the
for
perfect.
everybody.
Yeah, for sure.
So we
The
knocked
perfect
off
food.
Thursday. Friday, you went to Hollywood Studios.
Mama Melrose. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mama
How was that?
Melrose. That's where we ate.
How was that?
It was,
I've
it was
never
really
been.
good. You never
I've
been?
never
So,
been.
I mean, it's typical like Italian. We've eaten there before. And so that was why it wasn't easy. When I was going through, we were trying to find something earlier and close because we were already at Hollywood, and we were, like I said before, we were going to Kona to eat, and everybody just wanted to stay there. And there wasn't anything open, and then it just like popped open. And I reserved it, and we went early because I don't know, it was like 8:20 is what time the reservation was. I'm guessing, I'm saying. And we got there at like 7:45, and they said, we could get you in earlier, maybe if we, maybe, but just hang out. But I can't guarantee it. My wife went to the bathroom, and before she came out of the bathroom, they were seating us. And so
That's
that was
a
good
good
good.
tip
tip.
about checking the app
That is a
and
good
seeing
tip.
if different reservations pop up that you can jump on.
They change all the time. And go ahead, Kevin.
You never know. I mean, like you said, you go up and ask, and you can sometimes hop right in. I mean,
And I got some tips on that. Lonnie and I were talking at one point about like changing reservations and kind of this, that, and the other. So I was able to do that, and we got in there, and we had, I think, calamari, as an appetizer. It was good. Like I mentioned before, that one of Amelia's friends, she had rolls about, I don't know, seemed like she had 20 of them. She didn't, but this is a little bitty girl. She's actually the flyer on Amelia's stunt team. And I say flyer because that's, little girl you throw up. She's like 8th grader, man, like tiny. She ate a fat steak, and she ate a whole bunch of rolls, which always makes me laugh to see these little girls just consume so much food. I had a steak, and it was amazing. It really was good.
nice.
Yep.
Good deal.
A lot of jokes, but they have quiet. They keep it quiet at a certain point. It's not like there's a bunch of rowdiness. We have. They're typically, these gyms are pretty strict anyway. I mean, they're there to compete, and they don't allow the girls to be out too late. Like they have a curfew. They have they want them off their feet on competition day, even after competition when they're competing the next day. They don't want them they don't want them staying out all night long. They have quiet time at the resort. That it's not that they can't go from room to room or something that they might do, but they just can't. They can't be outside cheering, and they're not doing that anyway. They typically are doing cheer stuff, practices and things like that, because there's a lot of that. Even though they have a reserve something at at another resort, there's in the it looks like a football field, at sports, and where we were, and there are girls out there, there are teams out there that are practicing stunts or doing whatever, and so that's always going on. But it's not rowdy, and the girls, like, they're running and they're going nuts, but they're not. I mean, they're always so well behaved, and it's never crazy. It's a good experience, and it's a good environment, from my perspective.
Good deal.
So, Gene, I had kind of one follow-up question to something you mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm.
With Magical Express going away, people are trying to find different or new ways to get from the airport to the Disney hotels. And you mentioned you guys Ubered. So I was just wondering, what was the rough cost of the Uber? And then timing-wise, I think you said you landed close to 1 in the afternoon. How long was it to get from the airport to your hotel with the Uber?
We got our bags pretty quick. We got an Uber pretty quick. And actually, I say that we actually had a little bit of a hard time connecting with the Uber because of where you meet them, and he didn't speak English, and it was kind of rough. We did make it, and it was, I don't know, $35, $40, something like that. It was exactly the same as what it was whenever Lonnie and I were there in January. Okay. And I know that there were people that were paying a person for a round trip. I don't remember exactly, but that didn't work for us because we were going, like I said, we were going to a park that we won't speak of, and then we were going to have to go back from there. So, we were having to do it all individually. But it worked out, and it was quick. We were there, checked in. There were some people that didn't have rooms ready, but our room was ready. We got there, we checked in, we, did whatever we needed to do, and got on a bus. And it seems like we were at Epcot for like 3:30 or so, 4 o'clock.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah,
great
good.
to get
Good. That's
from
pretty
the
that's
good.
airport to
Yeah.
Epcot in 3.5 hours or
And
so.
I'm sure it was crazy hectic
Wow, that's
with
awesome.
all the teams getting into town on their flights and things like that, and lots of bags.
Well, so we
for
were all.
competition and
So the
stuff.
thing is, we're already everything was kind of pre-done. We're already checked in, and you just got to go up in the line and finalize everything. But then we also have. You're supposed to make an appointment to go to. You asked about like how if there was an expo or anything like that, Kevin. Not really an expo,
Yeah.
but you do have to go to the varsity. Varsity is the organization that puts this all on. You got to go to the varsity tent and register and get you got to get lanyards and passes for everything, and then there's some shopping. There's not a ton of stuff, and so that we just did that on the way to the bus. It's really not on the way, but we just walked there, did that really quick, and then got on the bus and got going.
Awesome. Well, Gene, it sounds like you guys had an awesome trip overall. Really good to get away with the family and see your daughter compete. No, it wasn't the result that she was looking for, right? But I mean, it had to take a ton of work for that team to get ready for this event and to qualify and everything else. So
Yeah.
hopefully they can look back and be proud of all the work they put in. Because that sounds like it would be such a cool experience.
I mentioned my daughter talked about not doing this again. And then the whole time we were there, she said, it's not that I'm going to miss the sport. I'm going to miss the people. And then by the time it was done, it became, I'm really going to miss the sport and the people. And part of it, it's not 100%, but I believe part of it is that she sets a really high standard and she's, very much a goal setter. And she's not going to, I just know her. She makes, she's got a 4.0 grade average. She doesn't settle for, less than a certain, score in a class, number in a class. And she's not going out like this. I mean, I just know her, she's not going out like this. So I expect that we'll be there next year. History has shown that, she and her teams get there. And she's on the same team, same group of people, same coaches, same high level of engagement from everybody, same commitment from everybody. They'll be there again.
Awesome. Yeah. Hopefully they are and can win the championship or, show how they want to show there. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
From their gym, the highest they've ever placed is third. And that was the first time she ever went. The team she was on placed third in the country. And so she's got that. She's placed third and she's placed fifth. And the other time, I think they placed they made it to the finals, but they didn't place, very high. But I don't doubt that she'll do her best. And like I said, they've got a good track record.
Awesome.
Indeed.
All right.
Amazing.
Well, good luck to them this coming season then. Lonnie or Kevin, do you guys have any other questions for Gene or any other comments you want to make about his trip?
Well, one question I had was, what's one memory? I know that it's always fun to go on trips and things that happen that aren't expected. That's sometimes, makes it the most memorable. So I wanted to know if there's one thing that kind of stands out about this trip that you'll remember.
I think riding Everest. Like, I don't even know how many times in a row we rode it again and again and again and again and again, and just me and my daughter. And so, I mean, we're laughing, we're running. We're like, you want to ride it again? Yeah, let's ride it again. And so we take off, we'd run. That's a great memory. It was fun.
That's something both of y'all will remember forever too, and that's great. That's some good daddy-daughter time. That's great.
For sure.
And it's such a fun ride. All right. Well, thanks again, Gene, so much for walking us through the experience and sharing some of the tricks and tips that you've learned along the way. And we invented a new festival for Disney, the International Food and Garden Festival. So we're looking forward to that in 2023. So let's, I guess, wrapping up our show for the night, let's move into our favorite segment, and I think everyone's favorite segment, Quacking Up with the Ducks. So who's got an awesome dad joke they want to share with our listeners?
I think I'll go,
Lonnie.
John, and I'm going to give a Disney joke. Why is it so cheap to throw a party at the Haunted Mansion?
Why?
because the ghosts bring all the booze.
Oh.
You know, so I did that. Booze. Bringing all the,
Yeah.
You can't drink in Magic Kingdom. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's bad. joke.
You can at Jungle Navigation.
Yes, you can.
Or at the dessert parties.
Yeah.
At the dessert parties.
Believe me, if there is alcohol in the Magic Kingdom, I'll find it. So I've located it.
Feels it in the force. John's
Yeah.
like, over there.
There's a disturbance.
Yeah.
I can feel it.
Somebody just opened the bottle. I feel it.
All right, Kevin, how about you?
All right. You guys want to hear a joke about paper? Never mind. It's terrible.
I see what you did there. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Hey, after Dooku cut off his hand, do you know where Anakin went?
No.
Secondhand store.
Oh boy. A photon checked into a hotel. The bellhop comes up to him and says, "Sir, can I help you with your luggage?" Photon goes, "No, thanks. I'm traveling light."
Nice.
It took you guys a minute, but you got it and you liked it.
Oh man,
Takes me back to days of chemistry. Oh,
we are the worst.
Yeah. As my daughter says all the time, my jokes are terrible, and she laughs at how bad they are rather than how good they are.
Yeah, there you go.
But as long as you get the laugh, right? It doesn't matter. You get that
Exactly.
payoff. Yeah, that dopamine hit
Exactly.
from someone laughing at your jokes. So that's what we're all after.
Right.
All right. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed the episode, learning about the differences kind of between a normal Disney trip and seeing what one from the sports or Kevin, you mentioned a lot of parallels to Run Disney events. It's more of a sport trip with some Disney on the side. And hopefully some of our listeners got to experience what that's like through Gene's living vicariously through Gene's trip. So thanks again, everybody, for tuning in and listening to us. And you can always follow us over on Facebook, Twitter. Find the Ducks on Tinder if you're into that. We'd love it if you swipe right on us. I think that's the good way. I'm not sure. But swipe the good way on us and join us over at YouTube, and you can subscribe to our videos. But then also, if you're on Facebook, join the Disney with the Ducks Facebook group. We have a lot of fun discussions there, post a lot of news stories and information, and then try to get the community involved. So I guess for all of us tonight, I just wanted to say, Kwaharini.
Bye,
Hey, once
everybody.
you start down the dark path, forever will it dominate your destiny, Lonnie?
I've heard.
Never tell me the odds.
All right. Goodbye, everyone.
Good job. Thanks, everybody. Hey, you know what Han Solo told the fishmonger, Kevin?
No.
Never sell me the cods.
Never sell me the card. Nice.
So our best friends took the 3 middle ones for the weekend. So it was nice having the house almost to ourselves, because we only had our 12-year-old who pretty much goes off and does her own thing, and then our baby who's only 7 months old. So Gene, you're really munching down there,
Dude,
buddy.
you need to stop chewing
I'm sorry,
ice.
dude.
You really
Sorry
sorry
about that. Sorry about that. So
Hey,
I
Gene,
can't
this is
get-
a
I can't get
podcast
the drink
that we're
out
on
through
right
yours,
now.
right? I didn't think y'all could hear that, and so I took the lid off so I could get something out of it, and the ice comes through. Oh man!
And you
I'll
start
put the mute
chopping
button
all
for
that
it,
I'll
Pac-Man.
see y'all next week.
If you're not speaking, could you go on mute, please? So yeah, so we had.
Somebody's dog. I hear somebody's doorbell.
Oh, sorry. The UPS guys here with my wife's 37 Amazon packages. Oh, the joys of doing business and podcasting live like this.
Is it ice though? Really? Is it?
What else can
Is
you
it?
do?
I don't.
Potato chips? Salt and vinegar chips? Probably the best kind of chip. We can talk about that on a future show too. What the best
We
kind
can.
of chip is, because honestly, it's salt and vinegar, and any other response I think is wrong.
Yeah. And I got introduced to walking tacos this week. I've never had those.
You've never had one?
This is
Oh my God,
first time.
those are
It's
amazing.
awesome. They're
Yeah,
so awesome.
like the
pretty good.
Frito bag or the Dorito bag.
Yes.
Oh yeah, so good. Darn
guys
it,
are
Kevin!
hilarious.
Now I'm starving, and I'm
Yeah.
going to be drooling the rest of the episode. So where did you have? Were you on a golf course? Because that's where I usually have had them.
No, my youngest nephew had his birthday, his 6th birthday. So he wanted walking tacos, so that's what we had. It was good.
Wow, that's
I see him
awesome.
at
I'm
ball
glad you got
games a
that
lot.
experience. Yeah, that too.
Basketball
Yeah.
games, football, the baseball park.
He started playing t-ball, so I think that's why he likes them, because he gets them
Oh,
at
yeah.
the concession stand.
Oh God, it's like the perfect food because it's mobile, it's delicious. I mean, you can eat it anywhere. I love it. Oh boy.